He mentioned Bitcoin. You said you didn't know what we were talking about. We pretty much always have some crypto conversation with you. I'm just curious because I don't think we've talked to you since.
I think all that's been a waste of time, and why you guys waste any breath on it is totally beyond me.
Because you just think the whole thing just is
going to zero?
Going to zero and it's fake?
Bitcoin itself is a hyped up fraud. It's a pet rock.
You're back to that?
Yeah,
really?
Of course, yeah.
So what do you make then of BlackRock and other firms that are investing in infrastructure?
No, that's different. Blockchain is a technology ledger system that we use to move information. We've used it to do overnight repo, intraday repo. We've used it to move money.
Right.
So that is a ledger. That's a technology ledger type of thing that we think will be deployable. Remember, we've been talking about that for 12 years too, and very little's been done.
There's some tokens that I agree with you on, but Bitcoin's based on a distributed ledger. Yeah, it has all the characteristics of a store of value. It's immutable. It's scarce.
Totally untrue. It's
21 million.
Oh yeah, really? How do you know it's going to stop at 21 million?
Because
I've mentioned this to people.
Satoshi.
Everyone says that. Well, maybe it's going to get to 21 million, and Satoshi's picture is going to come up and laugh at you all and say, "No."
There isn't a picture.
And by then, Satoshi will have taken out billions of dollars.
So there you have it from Jamie Dimon. But you see here, J.P. Morgan registers trademark for crypto wallet. This was back in November of 2022, a few months ago. And he's now on national television saying that Bitcoin's a pet rock. Why are you guys even talking about this? You guys waste your breath the past 12 years talking about crypto and Bitcoin. It's all a fraud. That's coming from the CEO of Chase. So we got this from Croesus, BTC. You got to ask yourself, is Jamie Dimon right, or do I know more about Bitcoin than Jamie Dimon? And if you have an edge on Jamie Dimon, that's called alpha. Use it. So basically what he's saying is Bitcoin is a direct competitor to banks. And how can you believe these bankers, these politicians, and everybody that continues to lie when stuff like this continues to happen?
My question is for the Minister of Middle Class Prosperity, who is a member of Parliament here in Ottawa. What is the average cost for a home in the city of Ottawa?
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, my title is the Minister of Tourism and Associate Minister of Finance. I'm sure my honourable colleague across the way knows that. But let me say, Mr. Speaker, 156,000 jobs.
The Honourable Member for Carleton.
The Minister of Treasury Board can help by telling us the average cost of a house in the nation's capital.
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I want to say 106% of jobs have been recovered since the lowest point of the pandemic.
Member for Carleton.
What is the average increase in house prices since this government took office in 2015?
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, Canada's economy contracted by 17% between February and April 2020, the largest and most sudden contraction in real GDP since the Great Depression, and we're already back.
Honourable Member for Carleton.
Just the average house price.
The Honourable Minister.
5.5 million Canadians lost their jobs, and they're all back.
Member for Carleton.
And what would they pay for the average house?
The
In
Minister.
2020, unemployment rate had more than doubled from a pre-pandemic level of 5.7% to a record of 13.7%, 6% now.
Member for Carleton.
I think there's a problem with the audio in the chamber. The question was, what is the average cost of a house in Canada today?
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, our government has made historic investments in housing affordability, and we will continue to do so.
Okay, so you guys get it here. These two just continue to go back and forth, and the guy's asking a simple question. He's asking, what is the average house price in Canada? And he is just deflecting and not answering the question, because the average Canadian, average American, average individual across the world cannot afford a home. That's where we're going. That's where we went. That's the current state of the economy. When you have politicians going back and forth like this and not really addressing the issue, and not even wanting to address the issue, how can you still put your trust in them? You have an option, you can opt out. And with that, what's happening, Crypto Crew? Sean's coming back at you, another cryptocurrency video. Continuing and getting straight to it. There's a lot of FUD in the market, but we do have some hopium. You see here, this is from TA Analyst, and you see we had this double top here, back up to around 68, 69K, came all the way down. Are we going to have a blast up to 68, 69K again before the next halving? Are we going to see that? Could that happen? Or are we just going to make a higher low how we did here? Could it go up to like 60, 40? Who knows? But the patterns do look very similar from the 2017 blow up top and then the 2021 blow off top. So are we going to sort of stair step our way up? We'll take a look at the charts here in a little bit. Before we look at that, look at Dylan LeClaire. He's given us this chart here, and this is something that you need to pay attention to because why is this important? This is a chart of the S&P down below. And looking back since 1999, the S&P has had 3 major pullbacks, and we're in the midst of the 4th. But if you look at this indicator above, every time the green comes below, this is when the markets have a major correction. As you see, when this comes down, and then if you come down here, we haven't had that correction yet, but then the S&P over the next few years goes down 50%. That's the tech bubble burst in the early 2000s. Then we had 2007, 2008 great financial crisis when we came back down right here. And look what happened. When this first came down, the prices actually still went up in the S&P, but over the next few years, rolled over and went down 59%. And look at here. We came down, and this was the pandemic dump in 2020. And when this first happened, we went up a little bit and then fell off a cliff. And look where we're at right now. And look how deep we went. This is what everybody needs to pay attention to. Because with this could be a major stock market crash. If time's any indication of what's to come in the markets, this does not look good for the stock market. Because as you see, we've had a little bit of a pullback at 27%. When we first had this first wick down, we had a pullback, probably about 15 to 20%. Didn't hit the bottom quite yet, but look at how massive this is below the others. Are we going to see a big bubble burst, and will the stock market continue to crash? Will we go lower than 58%? How low will we go? Will this roll over in the years to come? And one question you want to ask yourself, Bitcoin. What's Bitcoin going to do? Because Bitcoin historically, since Bitcoin's inception, it's been in a quantitative easing environment. Bitcoin has never been in a recession or a depression. So how is Bitcoin going to respond? And Bitcoin has been correlated with the S&P. So we're going to look at Bitcoin since 2017. It came up and broke and started to form this blue trend line, which we came up and flipped it to resistance before bouncing up to the peak. Came down in the bear market, tested it, came back down, wick below, but the candles closed right at this channel here. Wick below with the pandemic dump, bounced back up, and look what happened right here. We're down at these levels right now, and we just sort of had this bounce back up. So how high will Bitcoin go? Will we come up? Will we go bullish into the 2024 halving? Time will tell, but this trend is your friend until the end, and Bitcoin is still holding. Now, one thing to keep in mind, the S&P, from the chart that Dylan LeClaire shared here, how deep this came down from this everything bubble burst. How low will we go? Will we fall off a cliff and come down into these levels? Will we have another 25 to 35% pullback? Could that happen? And if so, how is Bitcoin going to react? Now, looking at the Bitcoin price chart, we've showed you this in previous videos that, look at the trend's your friend to the end. And right now we're still putting lower lows and higher lows. So we're still in a downtrend. Even with this wick up, we have to get above this blue line. Now, will that happen? If this S&P rolls over, will we break this trend line that's sort of been intact since we broke it back in May of 2017, almost 5 years ago? Will Bitcoin respect this trend? The trend's your friend to the end. If Bitcoin breaks this bold blue trend line here, that's going up and to the right, there's going to be a lot of blood in the market. Or are we going to have these type of theories that still play out? That, relatively around November 28th, every so many years, that's when you can sell Bitcoin when these red dots come around. It's not exactly November 28th, but if you use this date in 2013, 2017, and 2021, 4 years apart, you could sell high and buy back low. So this is a good indicator, and every theory is right until it's broken. So the next November 28th, 4 years from now, so you'd be looking at November 28th of 2025, where will the price be? Will it be this doomsday that could potentially play out with the S&P And then will that trickle over into the crypto markets, or will Bitcoin rise above all? And with that, I'm Sean with the Bitcoin Bros. You guys like this content, go ahead and smash the like button. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, go ahead and show us some love. We appreciate the support. With that, that's all I have for you today, and I'm out.